Can anyone live with Eartha Kitt?
That's not for me to decide. Not for someone who decides to live with me to decide. Not for me.
But are you willing to compromise within a relationship?
To compromise? What is compromising? Compromising for what? Compromising for what reason? To compromise for what? To compromise. What is compromise?
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
Stupid. A man comes into my life and I have to compromise? You must think about that one again. A man comes into my life and you have to compromise for what? For what? For what?
Say a good man does come along, is that mentality going to attract him and make him want to stay around?
Well, who cares what attracts him? That's not what it's about for me in my life. I pay my own bills right now.
Well, you're going to continue.
So when you pay your own bills, you're going to think about love differently. So if a man is not willing to show and prove who he is, he's not for me. I'll put up this wall, and if you're not going to climb it, then you need to stay on the other side of it. I'm going to speak and say how I feel. This submission stuff with Fantasia, I'm not submitting to nothing but my bag and my kids and my career. I will submit. There is no submission without a mission. There has to be a mission. These men don't have mission.
Both Eartha Kitt, born in 1927, and K. Michelle, born in 1985, that you just heard, represent the attitude of many of the post-slavery black women when it came to submission to so-called black men, because of the emasculation that took place of the black man during the slave era. These women had doubtless been schooled in self-reliance and self-sufficiency during slavery. As a rule, the Negro woman as wife or mother was the mistress of her cabin, and save for the interference of master or overseer, her wishes in regard to mating and family matters were paramount. That means she had rule and say-so over the family more than the black man. The only person that had more than her was master. And that's what we see as a paradigm for the most part in our families today. Neither economic necessity nor tradition had instilled in her the spirit of subordination to masculine authority. Emancipation only tended to confirm in many cases the spirit of self-sufficiency which slavery had taught. So that means that spirit that was put on her during slavery of ruling over the home, other than over master, it continued after the so-called emancipation or being freed from slavery.
We will deal with women from my understanding, and I hope that it help Israelite women out there understand why we were created. Women were created to be the helpmate of men. Think of it as a company. Yah is the owner of all resources. The husband is the CEO. The wife is the vice president. The eldest child, the manager, and who follows with supervision. And the younger ones, staff and shareholders, assisted by servants or trainers, if wealthy. The home is the first school, first hospital, first church, first court, first job or workplace, first social gathering, and first prison or punishment. Male, man, masculine, has always been in charge in the heavens, in the earth, and beneath the earth, in every kingdom. Hence the word kingdom and not queendom. If it just does not exist. And that is why we live in the matrix or matriarch system, But before that new thing happened on the earth, we was always under a patriarchic system, patriarch male, always. Queendom do not exist. Else why, if Queen Elizabeth is still a queen, but she is in the kingdom of England or the kingdom of Britain or whatever it may be, they still don't call the queen a king, and she still they can't call she domain a queendom. It's still a kingdom. A man is a man, a woman is a woman, but a woman must always remember she came from him, because man alone, because the man, which is Adam, alone breathed life into him. Then the woman was made from a living being already, and the first clone was created by Yah, if you want to look at it like that, because Eve was taken from a piece of marrow. And if we understand science or genetic makeup and DNA, they need marrow, blood and tissue. And Yah take 3 ribs from Adam to make me. So if Yah take 3 ribs from Adam to make me, I am a clone of Adam, but a female version. It's not so hard to understand, my people. Yah made the first clone, which is Eve. He took him from Yah and made me. And that is why we're supposed to be so close, because we sharing basically the same thing. He's the male version, I'm the female version. Yah made Adam and took a piece of Adam and made Eve. That's why she is the weaker vessel, because she came from the original man. She's still a bootleg in some sorts. Close, yes, but not the original. So talk now, woman. Talk. You're going against your order when you go against your God-given mate. You are destroying your home. You are destroying society. You are destroying our civilization when we don't fall in our place, woman. When we do not do what we have to do. This is our boundary. And once we pass our boundary, woe be unto Israelite women, woe be unto the Hebrew woman, woe be unto those who don't want to hear, because who don't hear will feel. And that is why we're going through all what we're going through, women, because we refuse to humble oneself. And that is what we need to do, women. Humble ourselves and pray and seek your face and turn from our wicked ways. Yes, we are wicked women. Wicked.
Well, one of the things they told me was that he was at the house one night, and we were talking, and he started laughing. He said, "Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about?" And I said, I had pretty conventional thinking about it at that point. I said, I think it's about women having the right to work, getting equal pay with men, just like they won the right to vote, you know? And he started to laugh. He said, "You're an idiot." And I said, "Why am I an idiot?" He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib, you know? And we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He says, there were 2 primary reasons. And they were, one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before women's lib. And the second reason was, now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. It breaks up the family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the 2 primary reasons for women's lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. You know, when I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, the thought of it. I saw the evil behind what I thought was a noble venture.
Aaron, did you know that Gloria Steinem, in one of her own books, now admits the CIA funded Miss Magazine?
No, I had no idea about that. No, I never heard that.
Yeah, we're going to...
CIA funded Miss Magazine?
Funded Miss Magazine with the stated goal of taxing women and breaking up the family.
No kidding. I never heard that. Well, Nick told me. I mean, I know it, but not because I know the CIA was involved in it.
Well, Gloria Steinem was proud of it. Oh, the CIA wanted to help women.
No kidding.
So they funded it. Yeah, and of course it's divide and conquer. The elite wasn't planning to help them. They were planning to really shaft them and take men away from them. Look at what they did with black families. You only had about 10% illegitimacy 50 years ago in black communities, and now it's over 90%. And look at welfare. You were going to give you some money, but you can't have a man in the house.
Right.
And so that was further to degrade the family. Totally destroyed. And now illegitimacy is over 50% in the general population.
Right. Well, see, the whole thing is these people control the money, so they make all the rules. These people control the money, so they make all the rules.
These people control the money, so they make all the rules.
None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so you know it really male figures are not substantially important in the family.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock.
Mayor Amschel Bauer, who later changed his name to Rothschild, made it a law that only men in his family were to rule in his business of private banking. He sent his 5 sons to start banks across the world. And his sons were Amschel, Solomon, Nathan, Carlman or Carl, and Jacob or James. Now I'm going to quote the rules that Mayor Bauer had set, which can be found in a book called The Synagogue of Satan on pages 15 and 16, written by Andrew Hitchcock. And it depends on the version, but the quote can still be found by searching by the year 1812, which is the year the rules were set. And here's the quote. On the 19th of September, Mayor Amschel Rothschild dies. In his will, he lays out specific laws that the House of Rothschild are to follow. All key positions in the family business are only to be held by family members. Only male members of the family are allowed to participate in the family business. This included a reported 6th secret bastard son. It is important to note here that Mayor Amschel Rothschild also had 5 daughters. So today, the spread of Rothschild dynasty without the Rothschild name is far and wide, and Jews believe the mixed offspring of a Jewish mother is solely Jewish. The family is to intermarry with its first and second cousins to preserve the family fortune. Interestingly, according to the Jewish Encyclopedia of 1905, of the 58 Rothschild marriages to that date, exactly half, or 29, had been to first cousins, a practice known today as inbreeding. No public inventory of his estate is to be published. No legal action is to be taken with regard to the value of the inheritance. The eldest son of the eldest son is to become the head of the family. This condition could only be overturned when the majority of the family agreed otherwise. This last law is immediately put into effect when Nathan Mayer Rothschild is elected his father's successor, or as head of the family." End quote. Notice how these international bankers, who now control most of the world's wealth, and anyone who is well studied knows that, notice how they keep patriarchy to keep structure in the family business running well. While, as I mentioned in the first video of this channel, the Rockefellers, who are the same people as the Rothschilds, just with different last names, allow the masses to be brainwashed by feminism. They don't practice women's liberation, but they made it so that the average person does, and create the illusion women have actually empowered themselves when it's really them who gave women that supposed power, which is why our next president might even be a woman. They also use inbreeding as a means to keep the wealth in the family. This is the same thing the ancient Israelites did from the beginning, where Abraham married his sister and Isaac and Jacob married cousins. This is all a very strategic way, along with practicing polygyny, that helps to build empires. Many of the male descendants of Mayer Bauer would also go on to have children with multiple women, which obviously increases their potential to be a dominant force in world affairs. David Rockefeller said himself, "Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty and I'm proud of it." End quote. We need to return to proper family structure if we hope to achieve anything as a people, which includes returning to pleasing our Father in heaven by keeping his commandments, so that we may be put back in our rightful place as rulers of the world, as Deuteronomy 30 and many other scriptures tell us. That is all.
I'm going to talk to Mrs. If's Right Pepper here about going from rebellion to submission, because in today's society, in our Western culture, in our Roman society, submission is a bad word. You know, it has like a lot of negative connotations. Now, not to the Hebrew Israelite woman, it doesn't have a bunch of bad connotations and stuff, but as soon as you mention the word submission, then people have these different ideas like, well, you know, what if the man is like this and what if the man is like that? And that is not even the question, you know, that's not even the question. So the assumption is, well, I'll submit if, and you have all these different attitudes about it, and it gets a little bit irritating or whatever. But we're gonna just make a short video talking about your journey and this whole idea of submission. But first, we're gonna start with rebellion and a rebellious wife and things like that. So just give me your thoughts on that first.
On a rebellious wife?
Mm-hmm.
Personal thoughts? Or
personal thoughts.
Well,
you can get into the biblical part, you know, in a little bit, but what are your personal thoughts?
My personal thoughts on a rebellious wife is it's unfortunate. Personal experience with being a rebellious wife is, before coming into the truth, I can say that I was a rebellious wife. I didn't know that I was a rebellious wife.
And that's true for a lot of people.
Yeah. I know that I had some influences through college. College tells you to be independent.
Mm-hmm. And since you mentioned college, what's your highest level of education? What's your degree?
I have a master's.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, When I was going through and getting my bachelor's degree, you know, they tell you be independent, have your own mind, freedom of speech, and free thinking,
Girl
and all
power.
of that. Yeah, girl power. And then I had family members. I have several family members. Most of my family, I can say that, with the exception of my grandfather and my grandmother, they're probably the last leg of my family that is patriarchal. Starting with my aunts, my family has become mostly matriarchal.
Sure.
And then with my generation, it's mostly matriarchal with lots of single mothers. And my two of my aunts are married, and then my mom is not. Well, she is now, but or maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't really keep up with her, but she is quite matriarchal. She runs her home, and so there was a lot of encouragement back then, and this has been a while ago.
Right.
Lots of encouragement. They did not like the fact that we had a patriarchal household.
Yeah.
And it was frowned upon with my family, and I was seen as being oppressed, and it was looked upon as you were doing something to me, or taking away my rights. And
it was a time where she didn't have to think about the bills.
Right.
They were just paid. She went and flipped the switch, and lights came on.
The lights were on.
You know?
and the most I had to do was, hey, can we go out to dinner? And you would think about, you would say yeah, or you would say no. And so I remember when they found out that I did not know anything about the finances, that was a big problem.
Right. And I didn't keep her in the dark.
No,
she
I
just didn't ask.
know. I
she
didn't
just
ask.
didn't know. It was just.
I didn't ask. I had a card, and I went and I made groceries, and my mom was like, "Is your name on the bank account?" And I said, "No."
Yeah, but I gave her a card.
Yeah, I had a card, and she was like, "Your name needs to be on the bank account," and I was like, "Okay." And so she was like, "What kind of card is this?" And I was like, "It's a bank card." And she's like, "This is an ATM card." And I was like, "Well, it gets me groceries."
Money comes out when I use it. So
I was like, it gets me what I need, and so that wasn't good enough. So she was like, "You need to ask for this, and you need to ask for that." And I was young, so I was like, okay. So it started conflict in our home, because I started saying, well, I need this and I need that, and he was like, well, you have what you need, you know, I provide you with what you need. And so then I became this rebellious wife, because my mom started whispering in my ear, "You're getting ready to graduate from college, and you need to control your own money," you know, because at that time, you know, I wasn't working, I was a student. And so then it became, well, where are you going to put your money? You're getting ready to graduate from college. Are you going to put your money in his bank account? And I remember there was an argument at a family function, because my uncle, he said they're going to continue to do what they've always been doing. And my mom was saying no, because she has her own money.
See, so when the fellas step up, say, hey, look, they're just going to do what they've been doing. They're going to run their household how they see fit. And the matriarch says, no, that's not how we're going to do it. Go ahead.
So then when I did graduate, I became very rebellious, because I listened to my mom and I wanted to control my own money. So I wanted my own apartment, and I wanted to pay my own bills. And so my loving husband, even though he did not want that for me, he said, okay, go on out there, see what it's like. So me, with my rebellious nature, I went on out there. I got my own apartment, and I got my own bills, went out, got my own bank account, and I was being very rebellious. And he said he did not want to have a woman under his roof that he could not tell.
Basically, if I could not be the man in the relationship, if I can't be the husband, if I can't be the head, then I don't want the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to reverse roles.
Yeah.
Okay.
You never gave me a get or anything like that.
No, I never.
Just basically, if I was gonna continue to be rebellious, then you were gonna allow me to go out there and see what it was like. And I got out there, and it didn't take long for me to figure out that it was hard out there. You know, I was trying to pay bills. I had to figure out due dates, and I had to figure out how to pay things, when to pay things, car note and all that. I jumped up and decided I was going to get a car, and the stress of all that, and I did not like it. I realized why men pay bills and why we don't. I ended up with all kinds of stress-related illnesses very quickly because we were not designed to do that. And so I learned very intimately and very quickly the results of a woman who is rebellious and trying to go her own way. So I came back home.
Yeah, got herself some debt.
Yeah, I got some debt.
Got a little bit of debt, and came back home.
I came back home. Being a submissive wife, I can't say that there's a lot of peace in that, and being submissive. A lot of women, I see posts and stuff
talk about it.
You know, whenever someone posts about being submissive, there's a woman who will come back and say, well, I'll be submissive if. and to me, that is just so bizarre. Number one, you never have to worry about an if you married a righteous man. If you took your time and you married someone you know is going to take care of you, and someone you know who's going to do their job, they're going to provide for you, they're going to protect you, they're going to do what they're supposed to do. I just finished reading The Them and Him by Dr. Gina Murray.
Shout outs to Dr. Gina Murray, whatever. But you're supposed to be worrying about that if before you get married.
Yes.
That's when you worry about that if.
You don't have to worry about an if you do that before.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
And you just submit. And if any woman has not read that book, I would really suggest that you read that book, because that book has given me so much peace and so much understanding and becoming assimilated to your husband.
Yeah.
And it makes submission so much easier. I view my relationship with Israelite Prepper in such a different way. It just grows more and more intense and deeper each day. And she talks about it's like, as I view him, it's like I'm viewing the Most High, you know, and my relationship with him, and it mirrors my relationship with Yeshua and the Most High, and it's amazing to me. And when I submit to you, it's like I'm submitting to them, and trying to give you a but it's like trying to give a but to the Most High, you know. When he asks you to do something, you don't say but.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Sister T, how did you feel when you start submitting? Did you feel empty? Did you feel like you lost yourself? Do you not know who you are? Because sisters are telling me that they feel like they don't know who they are. They feel like they don't know what their purpose is anymore. they feel like they lost themselves, when they, stepped back out of the leading role and started submitting. They feel like they're letting somebody else run their life, and they don't know, now they don't know their place, and what should they do? And I've really meditated on that question because a lot of us say we are Hebrews, and a lot of us say we are Israelites, but we feel empty when we submit. We feel empty when we obey. We feel like we don't know ourselves, or we don't know who we are. And I really thought about, how as an Israelite do we feel empty? How do we feel empty, or how do we not know who we are when we get rid of something that we should have never possessed in the first place? If you really think about that, how did you stepping back out of the leading role make you feel empty? Because you were never supposed to be there in the first place. How do you feel like less of a person? How do you feel like you don't know who you are, but you're running around and you're saying, I'm an Israelite? If you know that you're an Israelite, there's no way submitting, obeying should make you feel empty or less in any way, because as an Israelite, that's what you are charged to do. In scripture, it's already outlined for us what we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do. And I realized, even thinking back to myself, how I felt, I'm like, we feel this way because we truly don't know who we are. We have integrated into this society so long, and we have tried to be everything else that we were not for so long, that when we finally, start doing the things we're supposed to be doing, now we're confused, now we're empty, now we're lost, and in reality, no, you just found your purpose. When you start submitting, when you become a wife as an Israelite, you found your purpose. Your purpose is outlined in scripture. You are to be, a helpmeet. You are to submit. You are to obey. You are to raise up children. And, and this was a joyful thing. Sisters and daughters of Zion, women wanted to be married. They wanted to please their husbands. They wanted to. They prepared for this. Their parents, their mothers and fathers prepared these daughters of Zion for this very thing, to where it's like, I am sad and I am broken when I'm not fulfilling it. If I am failing as a wife, it hurts. It breaks me. That's where I hurt. If I'm in any way failing as a wife, if I'm doing something that's not pleasing to my husband, it's painful. It's actually very, very painful, because I know I'm failing. I don't need anybody to really point out to me, well, this is your failure because you are not, in college doing this. No. I don't feel failure now. I feel failure when my husband is unhappy. I feel failure if I'm not pleasing him. I feel failure if I'm falling short, because I know that, then the Most High is not pleased with me if I'm, unruly. I feel, pain in that. I feel pain just to know how unruly I was in past time. I feel pain, I feel hurt, and things like that. I am most happy. I am most complete. I am most joyful when my husband's happy, when he has a smile on his face. I am most joyful when I know that I am fulfilling those things that he, wants me to fulfill as his wife. I am joyful to know that we are moving, closer together, when we are coming closer together to Yah and with one another and as a family, and when he's able to fulfill those things that Yah called him to fulfill. That's when I'm most happy. That's when I'm most joyful.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure.
Righteous.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Me. J.E. on the button. Let's go. Jezebel, you can't mess with me if you wanted to. These is righteous, I wear head wraps, you wear slutty shoes. Hit the script, I can read them both, I don't wanna choose. And I'm quick, cut a sister up, cause these scriptures are true. Look, no time for sin now, I make kingdom moves. Said I don't gotta sin, I make kingdom moves. You gon' see my light all week, cause I'm not no savage brute. I'm a Jew, use a Jezebel, you use Satan too. Now she say she gon' keep Sabbath win like them Christians do. She gon' go to church on Sunday, she gon' eat that pagan food. These laws is not around you, you be out her clowning. You cannot wrap your head around it, my head rap astounding. I know you hear me on that beat, for that yellow in the street. Righteous things we gotta do, so go on and bump that bow, that blue, hold it, blue, blue.